Aaron, for some reason. Are you on these? My mic's not on. Okay, ready? Yeah. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Pep Talks, and I'm sorry about my tone. It immediately gets false.
Yes, it sounded fake.
Hello, everybody in YouTube land.
Hello, everybody.
And I'm here with my co-host, Steve Lally.
It's a beautiful summer day in Burbank, everybody.
It sure is. And I'm here with my longtime friend and podcast partner for a long time with Long Shot Podcast, Lo Chopo. And he's here now, and he's got a new podcast called Sean Conroy Gets Happier. Welcome, Sean.
Thank you, Eddie.
And when does this break, this podcast? When does it drop? When does the podcast?
The podcast drops on March 2nd.
Ooh, that's coming up,
The first episode comes out on Monday, March 2nd, which is just a few days away.
Well, that's incredible because I just had to file a Los Angeles City tax thing.
I did not know this was that kind of podcast.
No. And it said, if not filed by March 2nd, a penalty will happen. And it's just amazing to me that your podcast...
I am in cahoots with the Los Angeles County Tax Board.
Sean, we've had a long history. I'm 61 now, and you're, I don't know. Are you
much younger than that.
Not that much younger.
Quite a bit.
It is as far as the coronavirus goes. By the way, everybody, the coronavirus is coming to America. It's here already, but it's really...
Great movie, by the way.
Starring Eddie Murphy?
Yeah, Coming to America.
That's
Now
the
I
sequel to is the. Sorry, no, the timing was off.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I don't think we could judge comedy anymore.
No.
I don't think we should. You know, I go on stage, balls out. Balls out.
Which has been horrifying to a lot of people.
Well, the Me Too movement is really cut into. Yeah. Anyway, by the way, Harvey Weinstein convicted of rape.
Yeah, what's going to happen to him? Is he going away?
He's going to go to jail.
He just for his I don't know about that because he.
By the way, you look like you're falling over just because your microphone is all.
The microphone stand is.
Thank you.
That, by the way,
that's a friend.
That's because of the lack of success of our podcast that has eroded away the microphone stands.
Don't put yourself down.
Don't put yourself down.
I'm not putting it all on myself.
I know you aren't. And that hurts more. You know, when you point the finger of blame at one person, there's three fingers pointing back at you.
And a thumb pointing straight up.
And a thumb that nobody knows. That's just, you know.
Yeah.
By the way, that emoji I use a lot now on the phone.
Thumbs up?
Yeah, I don't have to reply anymore. I just use the thumbs up emoji.
Civilization is decaying by the second.
That's what signaled it for you there, Sean.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of them.
And the corona.
But the coronavirus, I was talking to Steve and Sean about it before we aired, and both of them are not afraid of it. I'm afraid of it. I think it's going to be horrific.
Well, you're a target of the virus.
How about all the conspiracy theories out there? This is a weapon. Have you heard any of this shit?
Sam Tripoli.
Well, has Sam talked about it?
Yeah. He's just speculated that it's the Chinese government using the virus, the news of the virus, to sweep off all the protesters.
And that's one of the reasons I don't feel threatened by it, because
Why?
I am not an enemy of the Chinese government. So I don't know why they would come for me.
I thought as Americans, we're just natural-born enemies of the Chinese government.
Yeah, but if you contribute to them every year the way that I do.
You do give a lot to the Chinese government, which I don't think they need, but you don't have a great deal of money.
It's called covering your bases.
Sean gives...
Any totalitarian government gets a check from me.
The more authoritarian they are, the more Conroy covers his bases. Like when
because who knows what's going to happen, you know?
Bolsonaro?
Absolutely. When Bolsonaro got elected in Brazil, Sean was like, here's a fiver. Here's a fiver.
What if we got invaded by the Brazilians, you know?
It could happen.
They come up here, they start...
They fuck everybody's brains out.
They fuck everybody's brains out. I wouldn't mind getting invaded by the Brazilian women.
Would be great...
I wouldn't mind the Brazilian women invading us.
I think you're being very general.
I guess so.
Yeah.
What do you mean? What are you saying when you say that? That there aren't some attractive Brazilian women?
I'm saying you would be fine with being invaded by some and maybe not with others. I think when you speak in generalities like that,
you're right.
You're stereotyping.
Oh, Sean,
people.
you just really throw a damp fucking.
No, he doesn't.
He's telling the truth, but come on.
Yeah.
Picture yourself getting fucked by, what's her name from the Shakira? Is she Brazilian?
Shakira?
She may
No,
not even
she's
be
not.
Brazilian,
She's
so
not.
never mind.
She's Colombian. Yeah.
Colombian, but it's South America.
They're both. It's just there's a lot of good soccer involved.
But Eva Perón, she was Brazilian, right?
Argentinian, but I know you knew that. I know you knew that. I don't know if Steve knew
No, I
knew
didn't.
that, but I know him, and I know he knew that. Let's talk about your podcast a little bit. Dropping on March 2nd, the same day that LA Finance Board.
Yeah.
The first 2 episodes.
Sean Conroy gets happier. Now, I taped an episode with you
You did.
right here in this studio.
We talked about happiness.
Yeah, tell us about it. Tell us about it.
About your episode?
No.
You were there for that. You
I
know
know.
everything that happened.
I do, but tell us about the arc of
Okay.
this. You already, I hear you're editing it, which is great. We don't edit anything here.
Yeah, there's stuff that happens that you're like, oh, maybe we should take out that thing about getting fucked to death by Brazilian women.
This is live on YouTube, and we mean this all seriously.
Yeah. No, I mean, I just feel like there's parts of the conversation that I listen to and I'm like, oh, I'd rather that part isn't that interesting to me. I'd rather
Good for
focus
you.
on this stuff, you know.
How long does it take to edit?
It takes 11 hours per minute to edit the whole thing. So it takes a long time. It's a lot of work, and I'm very lucky that I have a producer who has been working with me and doing pretty much all
Who's
of
your
that
producer?
stuff.
Can you
herself.
say?
Yeah, I can. It's not like it's a witness protection program job, you know.
My producer.
My producer is Sammy the Bull. No, her name is Lauren Dunitz, and she is.
I haven't
phenomenal.
signed a release form yet because I was like, why do I need a release? Why do
Yeah,
I?
I know it's holding up the whole production.
You ever get that? Like someone sends you, like you have to sign an agreement.
Flappers
and you don't-
Comedy Club. Flappers
Oh, well, screw
Comedy
that.
Club.
No, this wasn't.
That's why I don't perform at Flappers. I'm still in negotiations with them. I'm actually meeting the owner of Flappers at Yalta next year to hammer out an agreement.
Yalta, not Malta. Malta, a whole nother story. So you're putting work into this one.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot of work.
I like the topic. I think the topic is great. You're talking about, and correct me if I'm wrong, I know you will, about mental health.
No. Yeah, you're absolutely right. That is what we're talking
Mental
about.
health is something that got defunded in the Reagan administration, and it's led to nutso people all over the place.
I don't think they like being called that, but
No, nutso is, by the way, nutso,
bonkers.
bonkers.
Bat shit?
No, nutso is also a peanut butter. FYI, very expensive, like $12 a can,
Really?
a bottle.
A bottle? I didn't know.
What do you call peanut butter? Jar. $12 a jar. I hit it. Hey. All right.
$12 a car,
We're
boy.
not too precise about shit around here. A peanut butter in a bottle will pass the test of an unedited podcast.
I will admit I do carry a peanut butter flask.
You crack Aaron up. That's the most Aaron's laughed
Ever.
during our podcast.
Well, he loves flask humor.
It's the image of you.
Aaron
Sneaking a
Brungardt.
sip of peanut butter.
Aaron
Waiting for the
Brungardt
peanut
is our
butter
producer
to-
today. Aaron Brungardt is our producer today, and he's been laughing over there. So tell me about it. So what did you learn? Because I'm interested in mental health. I think you know that. I have been nutso bonkaroonies. Bonkaroonies is another technical term.
Yeah.
Originally,
By the way, bonkaroonie is also a cookie. And
he's laughing again. I have not heard fucking Aaron laughing like this.
Never.
they do sell cookies in bottles, right? Cookie bottles? No. Sorry. Cookie jars. That's what you call it.
Don't get your hand caught in a cookie jar.
No. Well, I just sat down with people because this all came out of the Long Shot podcast, where we got so many emails and messages and stuff from people saying, basically, not in so many words, but to the effect of, thank you so much. You got me through a difficult time. Listening to your show helped me feel better about life in general. And I was very struck by that.
Long Shot Podcast. I was on that for how many years, and how many years did you do it without me?
You were on it for 2 years, and we did it for 46 years after.
How long was I on it?
I don't know. I don't keep track of your calendar.
No, I mean,
when
I don't believe.
When I go back and write your biography, I will figure that out.
That will be unauthorized. I don't believe, because Lo Chopo to me had a fanatical following. The people who followed it fucking loved it. Do you know the Long Shot Podcast?
He didn't follow it.
I don't listen to podcasts at all. I don't even listen to our podcast. I don't
that's
you've had to lately.
I have had to.
You're not making a mistake there. Let me tell you.
I have had to listen it lately.
But I can't believe, what I wanted to say is I can't believe you guys didn't tour. Didn't tour with it.
Well, just realize you're dealing with a group of people who could barely find their shoes and put them on over their socks.
Which is why it was a good podcast.
So, yeah, we never toured. We had a couple of live shows early on, and then we never did that again. It was very hard to get the shit together,
How did the live shows
and honestly,
go?
that's why the show ended, was because I said,
I remember.
What are we doing? Either we need to get this together and make it into something, and as soon as I said that, it was over. The prospect of actually putting work into it just ended the show immediately.
It's very familiar.
Yeah,
it might end this one if we ever said that, but
sometimes. It's a blessing.
It's just crazy to me that you had these fanatical fans, and it should have happened at some point, but that's water.
Can't go back, It's water over the dam.
Water under the dam? I know you fuck.
Over the dam is good, though.
So
it means
it got out.
So you got a lot of emails.
Yeah, people would just say, I was having a hard time, and it helped me to listen to, and I don't know what the reasoning behind that is. I think part of it was because the show was funny.
You guys were so
part
truthful.
of it was also because we were like, here's what's shitty that's going on with me.
Absolutely.
Here's how I'm going to make fun of that. Anyway, ultimately, I listened. I read those emails and those messages, and I was like, this is a thing for a lot of people. Now, I don't know if it was specifically related to everybody who listens to the Long Shot happens to be somebody who gets really down, but I was just struck by the idea of happiness, and certainly that's something that I've struggled with over time. And so I just figured, what if I did a whole podcast about that subject?
Yeah.
And, we've recorded a bunch of episodes.
Is this going to be like a one-off? Like, are you going to do 13 episodes and then boom, you're going to try another topic?
We're going to do 13, then boom, 2 more, boom, 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 1 more. No, we have, I don't know how many we have right now. We have 17, 18 in the can.
Name some of your guests, tease us a little bit with some of the guests. Besides Eddie.
Eddie Pepitone, Jen Kirkman, John Gabris, Carl Tart, Pele, Charo. No, I have comics on the show, and then I also have people who, I don't know how else to describe them, but basically happiness experts, people who have studied the idea of how do you...
We never have experts on either.
Well, I did have experts.
I know, that's awesome. We should get experts. Matt Rasamoto, our producer, if you're listening, we need to get some experts on here.
I like how that's how decisions get made on this show. You just hear something and immediately, And also on the show, I had some pizzas delivered.
Did that give everybody happiness?
No, I'm just trying to get that. I'm trying to get Eddie to go, hey, let's get some pizzas delivered right now.
Matt, you hear that?
Vegan pizza.
Vegan. It's got to be vegan. So yeah, who else did you have on?
I'm trying to remember. No, I'd like for people to see it as it comes out.
Okay, cool.
But I think it is interesting. I think the conversations were really interesting. Some of it was really funny, and some of it was really intense. And I found that interesting, even if nobody else does.
I think people do, man. I think people so relate just to people struggling. Because one of the.
It looks like you just forgot what you were going to say.
No, well, I have, I'm getting older. But one of the signs of mental illness is feeling isolated. And when people hear other people struggling, they're like, holy shit, I don't feel so isolated. Was that the gist of the messages you were getting?
Yeah, I think that was part of it. It's like I'm not alone. I am not the only person who feels that way. In fact, it's funny. I have one of my guests early on in the season, and this is actually in the top of every episode. I play a bunch of quotes from different people who are guests on the show, and you can actually hear him say this. He's a therapist, and he says something to the effect of, "I guarantee you, there's nothing that you feel that I have not felt." And I think that that's a thing that people don't completely either understand or think about when they are in what I would call a dark place. When you're in that place, you go, I'm the only one who feels like this. And so I think hearing that there are other people who share that is a little bit reassuring, and you go, oh, I'm not the only fucking idiot,
Also, the thing is, like last night, I had some insomnia and I just woke up and I couldn't. It was about financial shit. And then I go down this rabbit hole. But here's the big thing about this is what I wanted to talk about with that is that you feel responsible. You feel like one of the biggest components of mental illness is blaming yourself for your circumstance.
Right. I mean, one thing I talked about, I think specifically with that guy, is feeling I don't know what the right term to use is, but let's just use the term depressed or sad or whatever, and then going, why am I feeling this way? I shouldn't be feeling this way. What's wrong with me? I have no right to feel this way. I am a bad person because I'm feeling this way. So it starts to spiral out of control as opposed to going, this is how I feel right now, and that's okay. Let me try to figure out how I can get out of this, And a lot of times getting out of it means,
Stop thinking about it.
Well, substances or,
I mean, for sure. That's why people are drinking and
right. I was joking, but you're right. That is what people do. True. Is try to shut off those.
Right.
I had a big marijuana slip in December. I was smoking pot like a
vaping.
fiend.
You were vaping, right?
I was vaping. It was odorless.
The smoke was not. It's white or something, right? It just goes.
Nobody could see it except this one Czechoslovakian clown.
You could see it.
But Karen didn't know. That was the main thing. He could do it in the house.
Hello, darling.
But, and I never tied.
Should I explain the hello, darling thing?
You don't have to.
Okay.
but I never tied it. Me like getting back in a weed for a month into like, oh, I can't handle life. I just was like, I'm having fun.
Right.
But here's the thing.
But I bet there was a party the whole time that was going, what the fuck am I doing this for?
Yeah, once I started doing it 5 times a day.
Yeah.
What, you're taking a shower? Window open.
Did it help at all that I told you your memory thing was worse? No.
Yeah, but I didn't believe, like when I'm in the throes of addiction and, Sean will back me up on this, you don't listen to people. You're like, you said that to me and I was like, Steve is just trying to get me to quit. That's one thing the addict.
I wasn't.
The addict does.
I wasn't doing that.
And I'm a big. That's one thing the addict does is
justify things.
Yeah, deny. Yeah, justify. And most addicts are really bright people.
Can you speak up a little? I hear.
Most addicts are very bright.
I don't know about that.
There are some idiots.
I mean, I feel like it could go either way. Most addicts,
just like the Brazilian, Brazilian fucking.
I would change your statement. I will alter your statement a little bit and say most addicts are people.
Absolutely, absolutely.
To classify them as really bright or not that bright, whatever, I don't think you can.
When you guys say all this, I just get the image of the attic.
Addict.
Every time you say addict.
You said attic, which is where you store things.
Yeah, but he said addicts. Addicts are people.
Well, what was crazy is Anne Frank wrote her whole diary from inside an addict.
for shit. So what were you saying?
Never mind.
Did you finish?
That was perfect. It just gave.
No,
it provided. It led somewhere.
This
good.
is what he does.
I'm adjusting.
This is what he does for a living.
Yeah.
But another thing,
it pays extremely minimally.
Here's another thing. Since Trump took office, mental illness
through the roof.
Why is that, you think?
It's very stressful.
Why?
Here's what I think.
Government's in chaos.
I think it's even more specific than that. I mean, obviously, I'm very...
Did you talk about this in your podcast?
No, I'm very...
See, I knew it. He needs political stuff like us. Go ahead.
I'm very anti-Trump. I'll just put it out there.
I know you are.
But what I think Trump is really good at and what he thrives on and why he exists is he wants to get people emotionally worked up. He wants to push your buttons, and he's good at it. And he does it to everybody. He says things he doesn't mean. He lies all the time.
He goes back on shit that he said he was going to do.
He also says things like that whole, I forget what you call it, but it's some rhetorical technique. The thing he does all the time where he goes, people are saying this. They're saying, it's not me saying this. It's other people saying this, so that he can get out of anything he's saying.
By the way, can I make a confession? I find him hilarious occasionally.
I don't.
You don't at all?
Never.
There is some part of me that finds the fucking guy just like today. I never watch, like, I don't follow the news. Trumpian news. Do you? You torture yourself.
I'm
with
better.
That shit.
I'm better than I was. Mostly now, when I turn on CNN, I immediately flip over to Mad Men. So I get very depressed about that. But at least it's not about what's happening now. It's about what happened in the 1960s. But I pay some attention to it, and I mean, he's a guy who literally wakes up in the morning and says to himself, how can I make the people who are angry at the people who don't like me angrier at the people who don't like me?
Oh, hold on, I'm already lost.
And how can I make the people who don't like me angrier at me? What are the things I can do to make everybody on both sides angrier at the other side? That's his whole thing.
By the way, the Trump people, it's not about intellectually what he says. It's not about the ideas. It's not about the promises. It's not about anything he's saying specifically.
You mean his supporters?
Yeah, it's a tribal, primitive thing that they've keyed into. Because I'm friends with some of these people, and they're
Where are
just
you from?
Chicago. Yeah, they're dug in.
The second city.
They're dug in. Yeah, thanks.
The Windy City.
Yeah. Well, we don't have people with college professor glasses.
Are those college professor
I don't know.
glasses?
I'm just pulling shit out of my ass.
I stole these from a college professor. But in my defense, he was an English professor, so he was sort of useless.
That's a comment that the English degree means nothing. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay, I got it. Go ahead.
I kid the English degrees because I am one.
I love Eddie's clarification of it.
I'm glad I got it because I'm only partially
Conroy
listening.
interpreter.
But I always go back to what you're talking about with the tribalism. I always go back to an article that came out within a year or two of Trump taking office. And, you remember there was that whole thing where they kept on going to diners and interviewing people about why they supported Trump in the Midwest and everything. Just over and over, there was all these articles.
Home fries.
Yeah, and there was
eggs.
one where they interviewed this woman, and she was upset with Trump because she had voted for him, and she said, he's hurting the wrong people. In other words, it wasn't about, like, he shouldn't be trying to hurt people. That's why she wanted him, was to hurt people. She just felt like he wasn't hurting the people she wanted him to hurt.
Which was who?
I don't even remember.
The elites.
But no, I mean, he was going after the elites. He's definitely been going after whatever.
Yeah.
My point is,
that's true.
She was saying he is somebody who will hurt people, and that's what I like about him.
That sounds sick, right?
It's pretty insane to think
But
that's why
now
you
she
vote
was
for somebody.
disappointed.
Right.
But
she was still going to vote for him
unless
again.
we can be.
She was.
Oh, of course.
So that's a real Trump supporter. That's not somebody who voted against Hillary Clinton, because there were a lot of those people.
Yeah.
Too.
Democrats,
there were people like my dad, who's a Reagan Republican, who did not vote for president. He did not vote for president But now he's a Trump sympathizer.
Down ballot, he was all over the place. But
The what?
Down ballot, you know.
Well, yeah, he's a Republican. I mean, he's a Republican because it's his last gasp of individualism against my mother in the 80s when it was his last chance to finally make a stand.
Against his wife.
Right. Who was
I mean, relationships are complicated.
Did you ever get into relationship? Not to take it away from Trump, because we haven't finished with that whole... Because I really think a lot of unhappiness is... One thing, and I don't know if you did this on the podcast, but one thing is the economic uncertainty and people not having...
He's talking about economic uncertainty. The economy is doing better than it ever in history.
And there is something we hear, and we then go, well, I'm not.
Total
and you
bullshit.
start blaming yourself. It's bullshit.
Of course
The
it
only
is.
people who are doing well are the very, very, very top.
They said the same thing when Obama was president. They said Obama turned the economy around.
They all say
Obama
that.
created jobs. The median income, family income went down dramatically. So,
Well, I think one of the problems is, and I was making fun of English degrees, but economics degrees are a whole other ball of wax where you can find statistics
They're
to back
bullshit.
up
to back up anything,
You
right.
know,
Yeah.
So you can say anything economically, and somebody else will say exactly the opposite. And
Do you follow-
an idiot like me? I'm like, I don't know what to believe because I'm not an
You have
economist.
to pick. You have to pick an economist you like. Do you like Paul Krugman? Do you know who I'm talking
I
about?
love Krugman.
he can't get enough of that.
Can't get
Do you
enough
know who
Krugman.
he is?
Yeah,
Who is he?
No, you do know, right?
I know who he is.
He's a big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think. he
Yeah,
won the Nobel.
Krugman, Ayn Rand,
Aaron Brungardt.
Adam Smith,
Matt Rasamoto.
Adam Smith. He was good.
Rousseau, Locke, Hobbes, you name them. I'm all over these economists.
Yeah. Well. So anyway, what? So opioid addiction, for instance. Now,
Wow, this took a turn.
Well, because we were talking about people using.
You're saying how people deal with their
unhappiness.
is opioids. Yeah, I think that is a part of it. you know?
Opioids, liquor.
I think the opioid addiction is more complicated than that because I think there was a tremendous amount of the
Opioids?
company the company
Yeah,
lying about
exactly the addiction.
what was going to happen.
That's
yeah,
exactly right.
like
They did lose a windfall lawsuit, by the way.
they did, but they also hid a lot of the money before that. And,
Oh, yeah.
you know.
They never.
In fact, we know
Isn't it
people. We
really
know people
all-
who work with them. I won't get into who.
You
but-
serious?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
For Purdue Pharma.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the. You talking about the chicken farmer?
Peanut butter.
Frank Purdue. What's going on with Frank? He looked like a chicken. That was the fucking thing about Frank Purdue. Did you see that beak he had?
Oh boy,
It reminded.
you know what that means. Very susceptible to allergies.
Big nose.
Could be a drunk
Big
thing,
nose,
too.
little.
Was it a big red nose?
I don't remember.
So yeah, people addict. Well, you were saying just now that they misled people.
Yeah, they
and that's why they're getting fucking
and
sued.
they did all this stuff where they took doctors on vacations
Junkets.
to get them
Junkets,
to sell
they're
this
called.
stuff and prescribe it more, and it just was horrible. So I think that is where a lot of that started. And yeah, it does help people deal with, I don't want to feel whatever.
Yeah. Well, you've seen my Vicodin commercial where I look into the camera and I go, come to think of it, I am a little sore.
That's my screensaver.
Except he's bending over. I had to do that. I had to. Hey, but isn't all of this the decay of capitalism? I mean, the doctors going on vacation on these junkets.
Oh,
the
the
companies.
capitalism
It's
is
all really the
fucking nightmare.
becoming a part of the excess of the wealthy versus the haves versus the have-nots. I mean, that's
Yes,
what
it's
it all,
very-
the disconnection that the people wouldn't have a conscience about that they would just go ahead with that.
It turns out the free market has some problems.
It needs to be regulated.
Big time. Well, it needs to be regulated. It needs to be tamed a little bit. I mean, what about Trump's tax cuts? Which, how does that relate to mental illness?
I mean, that's good for me,
That's right. You show run. I don't know if I mentioned, but Sean,
how did Trump's tax cuts relate to mental illness?
Oh,
because
Dude,
Yeah,
I mean,
you say.
Now, here's the question. Did he have to borrow $1 trillion? I knew. Anytime it gets serious, Eddie just...
What? Go ahead. Borrow $1 trillion.
He had to borrow $1 trillion from the Treasury to pay for his tax cuts. I sent that article to a Trump lady, a lady who I know who's...
Fake news?
That's what she said. She said, you need to, read different news sources.
That's one of the brilliant things about Trump is that he has so invalidated any sense of truth that you can say anything to any of his supporters and they just immediately go, well, that's not true.
That didn't happen.
That's not what he said, you know?
By the way,
it's a crazily frightening thing where there is no verifiable reality anymore because people just dismiss it out of hand as,
Here's the maddening thing about Trump, too, is some of that shit he says is true. There's a lot of bullshit
Enough
news.
of it is true.
Enough of it is true for his supporters to go, yeah. You know what I mean? And the part of it...
What are you talking about?
Well... When Trump criticizes the corporate media for saying fake news, there's a lot of bullshit that, and I'll just give you an example, CNN, MSNBC, not even talking about Fox News, but CNN, MSNBC, they're skewered against Bernie. So when Bernie wins a
lot of people say skewed.
Oh, skewered. I'm talking about...
You're talking about a barbecue where they
yes.
on the skewers?
Is it skewed? So they're skewed against Bernie. And for instance, when he won New Hampshire, they were saying their headline was Buttigieg and Klobuchar did better than expected.
Yes.
Saying, shit like that. They don't want Bernie to win it because Bernie wants to take down.
Yeah, or CBS just, did you read this yesterday?
What?
The South Carolina debate. CBS charged.
What'd they say?
$1,750 per ticket to get into the Carolina debate.
What?
Yeah, you didn't know that.
$1,700?
Yeah, it was $1,700 to get a ticket to the Carolina debate. Do you think how many Bernie Sanders people do you think were there? Right?
I almost went,
Bloomberg.
but I would not pay a penny more than $15.99.
There's an app.
$16.
Rigged election. You can get a better rate for your... I'm just fucking around.
Oh, okay. Anyway...
there was a big thing about were all these people Bloomberg supporters,
right.
And that was why he was getting so much applause during the debate, which affects the way people watching. It's like watching a stand-up special and going, that guy's not getting laughs, I don't think he's funny. If Bloomberg doesn't get applause breaks during the debate, you go, well, I don't really want to support this guy because he's not that appealing to anybody. So it does make a difference, But I am saying I would have gone if I had $50.
Anyway, I'm just trying to tie in
the fake news thing.
No, I'm trying to tie
the opioid crisis.
Yes, all of it.
The tax cuts.
People don't talk about the coming apart, the unraveling of society, of our society, and it's happening. Trump is not the end product, but a definite product of this whole experiment here going completely fucking awry.
I mean, there's a million different factors involved here. There's reality TV.
We have an imbecile as our president, a fucking imbecile.
I've told you this before, but and I tell this story over and over again, and I will keep telling it until this fucking imbecile is out of the White House. My grandfather was a politician.
I told Steve, tell him can you say who he is?
Yeah, his name was Malcolm Wilson. He was
governor of New York.
He was a state legislator, and then he became lieutenant governor for 15 years, and then he was governor of New York for about a year. He lost in the election of 1974, which we all know.
Who did he lose to?
No. He lost to Hugh Carey. 74 was a bad year for the Republicans, if you remember. We all know that more now because of the fact that Trump was recently impeached, and that will never go away. But my grandfather, devout Republican, before the Republican Party became what it is today.
When it was the party of Goldwater.
Yeah. And he... sat me down in his kitchen in 1987. Oh, here's the other part of the story. After he left politics, he became the chairman and chief executive officer of a savings bank in New York City, the only small savings bank that made it through the 80s without going bankrupt. He sat me down in his kitchen in 1987, and he said, I want to tell you something.
This is true.
It will be a disaster for the Republican Party and for the country if Donald Trump ever gets involved in national politics.
And that was 1987.
So it took 30 years, but he was right. He was dead right because he was dead by the time he was right. So.
That's what you get paid for.
That's what he gets paid for.
But, you know, he was so, like, I don't even know. The only reason I remember that is because he was being so dramatic when he said it, you know? And looking back now, I mean, that was 87 was the first time Trump ever flew up to New Hampshire and like walked around during the primaries.
Oh, he got.
I'm not going to do it today, but I'm thinking maybe at some point I may. A lot of people are telling me I should, and I may. I don't. I'm thinking. I don't know. It's very build the wall. We're going to Mexico. I may run. Mexico will pay for it. And so he was. My grandfather was aware of that, and was. And I know. I don't know this for a fact, but I've heard various stories over the years that lead me to believe that Trump borrowed some money from the bank that my grandfather was involved with. So he had to deal with him on that front. And I'm sure that was shitty because he was going to him and saying, looks like we're not going to be paying back the loan you gave us. Thank you so much. The building didn't work out. We got the bricks from the city. So he was just like fucking them over on the money, a reprehensible person, and really struck.
He fucked over a lot of people.
Oh, that's a whole other thing is the trail of broken people he's left behind him over the course. And this is a thing.
How is he still alive?
This is a thing.
How is he still alive?
But hold on, because here's the other part of that. To him, contractors and workers and all these people are just stuff to be exploited. But you know what else is
things?
You know what else is
They're
just a
things.
thing to be exploited? The United States of America. This is not a country to him. He is not the president. This is a fucking cookie jar, and not to bring up, not to bring up bonkaroonies again. But this is a place for him to take things from and move on to the next thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
He is
absolutely.
He's just using everything and everyone.
That's capitalism out of control, by the way. That's
But that's what we deserve. Don't we kind of deserve that after the 40 years of drift toward fascism that we've had? I mean, we kind of deserve. Donald
I don't
Trump.
feel like I deserve it. Maybe as a country we do, but it affects us personally.
Yeah,
and I don't feel like I've done.
Now the Democratic Party is going to give us Bloomberg. They're letting him buy into the election.
Well, that's a whole other.
So you gotta.
It would be funny if two billionaires were going at it for the election.
By the way, Trump,
I think Sanders will win.
I hope so, but Trump will wipe the floor with Bloomberg. He will. He
Yes.
will wipe the floor
Yes.
with Bloomberg.
Oh yes, I think so. You know that Trump, by the way, you were saying he's good at making people feel bad, right? Or attacking people. He worked for Vince McMahon in the WWE, and that's where he learned a lot of this shit, like name calling shit. You know,
he has a weird. He's like Liam Neeson in that Taken movie. He's like,
which Taken movie?
I've acquired a particular. Well, there's 3 of them. You're right.
There's like 7 of them.
You sure? There's just
Trump
3?
has acquired a particular set of skills that paid off very well for him in this, and it's still paying off. I mean, when you watch those rallies, it's so distressing.
The rallies are.
So
I don't watch
distressing.
the rallies, by the way. I don't get the Rally channel. Is that the Rally channel? Mm-hmm. Do you watch them? I can't.
I don't pay for it, but I get it on my dish.
You get the app.
You have somebody else's password.
I get the rally streaming. Like I can watch it all the time if I want.
No, what the rallies are just like. It's like an idiot's.
Yeah,
it's an idiot's delight. It's a racist delight. It's chicken delight.
Well, it's also Turkish delight because if you know everything that happened with Erdogan, he
Erdogan, yes,
he rolled over for him.
But what about the rallies? Are they just?
It's just very distressing to watch because it's just him lying about everything.
Him lying, and everybody
and
going.
The people behind him screaming their minds out.
Mm-hmm. And they don't look like wealthy people. The only people
but
who
those people are all placed there, of course.
Oh.
But still.
No,
it's
there's
just
a
like,
lot of people at it.
There's
Aren't there?
broke ass white trash. A
Yeah.
lot of broke ass white trash, incels. A lot of the incels go there.
But here's an analysis, too, of the Trump supporters, is that they were so sick of getting lied to, from both sides of the aisle. The Democrats.
Right. The bride side and the groom side.
Yes, if you want to put it that way. Yeah, I understand.
I always put things in terms of marriage.
Well, there's a divorce coming.
Hello.
And hopefully Bernie will be the new caterer to this wedding.
I'd like to get an annulment on this divorce.
We have a ad to read. We have some sponsors. We haven't gotten paid for any of them, but I want to read this one. Sean, you could take a little break now. You check your... By the way, I can't stop checking my phone. Did you talk about the technology and the phone mental illness? Because I find that when I'm on the phone a lot...
Sorry, I missed what you were saying.
No, I find when I'm on the fucking phone a lot... Did you talk about that?
Yeah.
It's a total...
Anxiety. It's an anxiety thing. You're looking for good news. You're hoping good news came in. That's every time you look at it. And
I got some great news. No.
Oh, right.
I haven't gotten great news in a while.
But realize also, I mean, this goes back to an old joke you used to do, which probably doesn't apply anymore.
What? I think my jokes are timeless, but go ahead.
Well, this one is not. You used to talk about, and it's the same thing. You want the dopamine hit of something good coming up on your Twitter feed or your Facebook, but you used to have the same thing about calling and checking your voicemail machine.
Oh, boy, I don't remember that one, yeah.
Yeah, you used to talk about how you were hoping that you'd get a message saying, Mr. Pepitone,
you remember.
This is your bank calling, you have an extra $7,000, and also there's 11 women who want to fuck you, or something like that.
Yes.
But you can't check your voicemail answering machine as easily as you can.
No, it's very like right
phone.
there. Yeah.
So,
and there's people whose job it is to develop technology in such a way that it forces you to be compelled to look at it all the time. I think I have a terrible relationship with my phone, and
You do?
I'm trying to find ways to set
somebody?
boundaries. Yeah.
you know what mine is?
I'm seeing a walkie-talkie.
That would be
You need to see another phone to get you off that.
That would be a funny sketch.
phone.
Wouldn't that be a funny sketch? Like you're in counseling with somebody, relationship counseling, and your phone is just up on an easel. And you're just saying, I don't know, I just feel like I look at my phone too much.
It's so needy. It's so needy. It just needs so much attention all the time.
They made a bad movie about that, where
Really?
Joaquin falls in love with his iPhone.
Who?
Joaquin Phoenix falls in love with his iPhone. He's carrying his iPhone around.
He just won the
subways and
Oscar.
shit. Yeah, this wasn't the one. It was for another movie.
Was that called Her?
Yeah.
Did you see it?
No.
You definitely didn't miss it.
I don't watch movies anymore. I just check Twitter.
I don't go on Twitter very much anymore. I'm all about Instagram lately.
Oh, he kills it on Instagram.
Not really. But I did repost your thing on Instagram about your podcast.
Oh, good. Which podcast? You talking about Sean Conroy Gets Happier coming
Yes.
out March 2nd?
That's the one.
Nice plug.
Great.
Tosserman Tools is one of our new sponsors, and here we go. When you want all-American tools made with Christian values, well, look no further than Tosserman Tools. I don't know if it's Tosserman or Tosserman. What would you say?
What letter is it?
Potato.
How would you say that?
Tosserman. Toss. Like you toss
the
something.
Tosserman.
Toss a salad. Toss salad.
Tossing a salad is in prison.
I'm on Twitter right now.
The Tosserman family is America's premier source of fine quality Christ-based construction equipment. It all started in 1987 when Pa Tosserman created Tosserman Tools Company as a front for smuggling third world sex workers into the U.S. He had no idea that making it a church would also mean he could skip on taxes. That's why each one of Tosserman's tools is blessed by His Holiness, Pa Tosserman, or by one of his nameless slave brides. These beautiful and exotic women might not speak any English, but they do make some of the world's best hand tools, or they spend a night in the shed. Tosserman Tools, smiting wood into submission since 1987.
This is the kind of advertisers you get on the show?
This is the kind of shit Sean would be editing out.
Bingo.
Now we gonna go to a call.
Before we go to a call, I do want to tell you this, Sean. I will meet people who listen to this podcast, and they will say, "The ads, are they real?"
Really?
I'm not kidding. And intelligent people.
They're written by Matt Rasamoto, our
Yeah.
producer. I gotta hold on for a second.
Oh, you got to hook that
No,
up.
keep going. Keep going with Sean.
Well,
Yeah, keep going.
That
keep
was
going.
it. That was really it,
I got
Sean.
that. Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing how sometimes when you do something with a straight face, people will go along with it, you know?
Well, we're also saying we haven't seen any money from these ads. Maybe I shouldn't even be saying this on the air. Maybe that's the reason people listen.
I also feel like when you say we haven't seen any money from these ads, that actually makes it more
that
convincing.
should be pretty convincing.
That makes it sound like it's a real thing. Like, you know, we should be.
We're
getting money
hoping
from
to
these.
get money,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we're advertising these products.
Okay.
All right.
Let's go to a
Thanks, Eddie.
call. Let's go to a call. Here we go. These are real. Here we go.
Hey, so I was wondering how you felt about children saying the Pledge of Allegiance to the United States of America before school, before their classes begin at school. And also, I don't know if this is the same in other states, but I am in Texas, and in Texas, children have to pledge allegiance to Texas. So I was just wondering what your thoughts were on that, because I think it would be better if children had to recite, instead of the Pledge of Allegiance, they had to recite the lyrics to the song "The Trees" by Rush.
I don't know that song.
I think that would be a better better use of their time and would prepare them for a better life. So, yeah, I don't know how we change that, but maybe, I don't know, we can make like a change.org petition. So anyway, you're all very nice people. Have a good one.
Any reaction to that?
Yeah, I thought that could have been longer.
By the way, that's one of the shorter calls.
Dude, if you're gonna call in a long joke, like, make the payoff a song we fucking know. That's all.
Well,
I'm
I got
saying.
the lyrics right here.
Well, right,
Here's The Trees by Rush. There is unrest in the forest, there is trouble with the trees, for the maples want more sunlight, and the oaks ignore their pleas. The trouble with the maples, and they're quite convinced they're right, they say the oaks are just too lofty, and they grab up all the light. But the oaks can't help their feelings if they like the way they're made, and they wonder why the maples can't be happy in their shade. There is trouble in the forest. Excuse me. Would you cut that
Aaron
out?
laughed again. That's like 5
Well, me and
times.
Sean have a very long-running burp wrangler thing. There is trouble in the forest, and the creatures all have fled as the maples scream oppression, and the oaks just shake their heads. So that's obviously what he's saying. Instead of obedience, you know, I remember we both had to do. Did you have to do Pledge of Allegiance?
Sure.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember doing the Pledge of Allegiance.
Oh, I
as a
do.
kid. No,
Are you
no,
being
no.
serious?
In New York?
Serious,
Growing up in New York?
Yeah, I don't.
Are you being serious?
I'm being serious. I don't.
You
remember
sure you're
doing-
being serious?
I'm being serious. Yeah.
Wait, you guys both grew up in New York.
Yeah. I had to say it. Maybe I'm
you-
older than
were you-
Sean.
I could have been conscientiously objective.
Imagine that. Yeah, Mrs. Crabtree.
Unconscious.
Mrs. Crabtree.
Unconsciously object.
Unconsciously objecting. No.
No, what I would do is I would not do the Pledge of Allegiance. I would do "Spirit of Radio" by Rush. Instead.
Is that a real song?
Yes, it is. Today's Tom Sawyer, you know, all that
Right,
nonsense.
Yes.
Uh,
No,
That
but
was
he's
a pretty great, but that was
Lyric.
That was great.
That was great lyric.
was
Thank
great.
you, by the way.
well, it's just all about the oaks and the maples. I mean,
That's
you know,
a metaphor.
what about
It's
the,
like a Shel Silverstein.
Is it a metaphor?
What about the birches,
I thought it was a forest.
the pine trees? You know,
I know you were going to say cedar.
He left out all the trees.
Cedar.
That's what Sean's saying. All the unfortunate.
He calls it the trees, and then he only mentions 2 trees.
That's fucking.
But the way you relate everything to a wedding, this song relates everything to maples and oaks. So,
Right.
But anyway, that was
The Oaks, by the way, is a great gourmet deli up in Hollywood. So
It is.
yeah.
Oh yes, that's right
a-
by UCB. Sean's haunt, UCB.
That was a
You're
great-
still doing. Let's talk about you a little more.
By the way, you just gave away the fact that I'm a ghost.
how'd I do that?
Another laugh from Aaron.
Another laugh, and
We didn't even
get
get it. Neither of us did.
Doesn't matter. Let's move on.
Okay.
One of his haunts.
Shit. Oh, haunts. I got you. Thank you, Aaron.
Aaron, thank you for the corny cue.
Fuck. But Pledge of Allegiance, it's just such bullshit. I pledge allegiance
To the flag.
of the United States of America.
To the republic for which it stands.
Yeah, wasn't it banned in a lot of places
In
because of
San Francisco,
under God? They were
they
like,
wanted
no,
to get
separation
the
of
word God out of the Pledge of Allegiance in San Francisco.
and they
That was
called
a
it
big thing.
under the mystic moon in San Francisco. It's under the mystic moon. I pledge allegiance, to the mystic moon.
Under the mystic moon.
To Gaia. Or Gaia. To Gaia. I pledge allegiance to the flag and to
Gaia.
Gaia.
Is Earth, not
That's
the
right.
moon.
That's right. Gaia is Earth.
In some places, they changed it to, instead of under God, it was from behind God, doggy style.
Edit.
Yeah. Sean he's finally catching on to our.
By the way, this is a good reflection on you. We've had 3 subscribers during this show, which is
nice job.
excellent.
Now we only need about
One more call, and then we'll get back to
497 more.
Sean.
I hope this one's longer.
It is. Ready? This one is.
By the way, Rush is the second.
Yo,
worst prog
fellas,
rock
man.
band.
This is Cordell Pace giving you a ring.
Do you know Cordell?
And
that's my buddy.
I think you might find this interesting. I was doing some pre-spring cleaning around my apartment, a hole in the wall that I live in, and reorganizing some storage space. And I came across this letter. This letter wasn't mine, and somehow it ended up in my storage space, maybe from previous ownership of this apartment. But it's a very old letter, and it was kind of hard to decipher. But I figured it out, and I read it, and I wanted to read it to you guys, and I think you might find this of high interest.
Imagine he just reads the
It's
trees.
basically a letter from.
Imagine if you what?
Just reads the trees. Like it just. Somebody wrote out the lyrics.
Now, what he's going to reference is we had a podcast. Do you remember? He wasn't really a stand-up, but he was a brilliant comic guy, and he was an orator. Lord Buckley, do you?
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, so we had on
Lori Buckley,
his daughter.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And she was here, and I love Henry Miller.
That was early days of stand-up.
Yeah. She brought in
Very
handwritten.
early.
She brought in handwritten letters from Henry Miller to her dad.
Now, I love Henry Miller, the Brooklyn-born author. Are you a Henry Miller
Who was
fan?
Henry Miller?
Come on. A Brooklyn-born author. Tropic of Cancer, Tropic of Capricorn, Tropic... What's that?
He was
suntan?
accused-
Any
being-
unread book is unused ammunition? Something like that.
I don't know if he said that, but I love him, and I'm surprised you don't because he's a New York City guy.
What makes you think I don't?
I don't
like
think you
just
do.
immediately, you don't know who he is? You don't know who Henry Miller is? I didn't say that. You don't love Henry Miller? I
love
didn't
him.
say that. Anyway, I don't think he's... I think
I knew that was
overrated.
coming. So here he goes. Here he goes.
Henry Miller to Lord Richard Buckley. So here it is. It starts off like this. Hello, Richard. Today is a dark, gloomy, hopeless day in the surrounding New York City metroplex. It's November 5th, 1958, and paradise is everywhere except here. That's why I'm exercising my executive privilege to move west to the hills of the San Fernando Valley in Southern California. One can only hope that if you're not already there, that you can meet me there so we together can explore a path of growing creativity. Last night, I was preparing to leave, and I ran into this young man, a stranger to most. His name was Bernard Sanders, who had hopes one day of being some sort of orator. He was an admirer of my work, and we engaged in a conversation about mass
Hold on.
organization.
Hold on. Now, why are you laughing at Bernard? I don't know.
making this shit up.
I know that, but who's Bernard?
He actually
Sanders?
wrote this with a Tosserman screwdriver. Dipped in blood, by
See how he calls things.
I wasn't as impressed.
No,
as
but you cracked up at Bernard Sanders.
Yeah, because this was so well composed.
It is well composed.
I thought it could be some kind of real thing.
By the way, Cordell, this is great.
He came on our podcast,
but I wasn't here.
No, you weren't here.
All right, so
neither was I.
He
wasn't
was
here for
also the guy who called in and skewered me for not
skewered or skewered. Skewered. You're right. You're using it correctly.
Skewered me for not liking Downton Abbey. This is the same guy.
This guy's a funny guy,
He's
Cordell.
a funny dude, yeah.
He said that he was moving there, or he wrote this letter November 5th, 1958. Whose birthday is that? Just take a guess. Mine.
Really?
I was born November 5th, 1958. So Cordell
He knows
did his
this. He's a
homework.
big fan of yours.
Is he?
He came to your fucking table.
I like this guy. All right, here we go. Let's finish.
Despite my own instincts of individualism, I must admit, just from our brief encounter, that he indeed was a fellow Jew who possessed loose lips and a tight spit. Godspeed to him and his followers. As I sit here on this train, Richard, anticipating my send-off, I think of the Wright brothers, the tortured geniuses of the early 20th century, and their contribution to the nascent travel industry pre-industrial complex. The many, many failures, the many, many doubters before they finally got it right. A round trip, Dayton, Ohio to Kitty Hawk, North Carolina in 1903. When they landed and got off their flying machine, a reporter asked them, "What do you guys have to say to your many distractors?" They looked at each other and repeated in unison, "Fuck all y'all." In closing, Richard, for any child born on this day, I can only opine they will grow up to be the leader of men, a sort of fruitarian spiritual leader. That child's adventure should be a metaphysical one, free to live between the upper and lower entertaining worlds of life. Thoughts and rant.
Can't write his own handwriting.
That was funny.
It was pretty good.
That was good.
Thanks,
It's funny.
Cordell.
He brings up 1903. You know whose birthday that was?
Sean Conroy.
No, I don't know. I'm asking if you know.
I don't know. Art Garfunkel shares my birthday. So does Janet Leigh. Who shares your birthday? And when is it? I always forget my friends'
I don't
birthdays.
know who
July.
shares my birthday.
July,
Yeah, it is
right?
July.
11?
No. July 13th.
Close.
The French almost share my birthday because Bastille Day is the 14th, but I don't know.
All of the friends. Thank you, Cordell. And that was why that was so brilliant to me is that it was very believable. Like, I don't know if he took a real letter from Miller or something from a book. Ask him.
I'm gonna. That was good.
That was great.
Thanks,
all right, well,
Cordell.
we're going to be wrapping up, but I want to plug your podcast again, Sean. So it's called Sean Conroy Gets Happier. Where can they find it?
Everywhere. iTunes, Stitcher,
Okay.
iHeartRadio,
Foursquare.
outside their apartment, Foursquare.
Foursquare and
We're trying to get it up on every platform. You know how podcasts are. You see them.
it's all about platforms these days.
TikTok.
Yeah. It's on TikTok, yes.
It's on TikTok in very short intervals.
We have a Facebook page.
You do?
Yeah.
What is that page?
Facebook.com/Sean Conroy Gets Happier.
Great, thank you.
And
Sean Conroy Gets Happier on Twitter. I just saw that. We're going to post all
well,
this.
no, that's just my account. I just changed the name to that.
Oh, okay.
It's just at Sean
But you
Conroy.
must have
at
information.
Sean Conroy on Twitter and Instagram. I'm just using my own Twitter
Right.
and Instagram. We don't need an extra one. You know what I mean? It
Right.
just makes more work when you have to go,
you
I
have-
got to post for this. I got to post for this. So I'm just using my own Twitter and Instagram.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I understand. And you got some great guests coming out on it.
Yep.
Including me. Mm-hmm. Do you want to plug anything else?
Go to my website. There's lots of stuff there. I've been sending out a thing every week which I'm actually rebranding, but it's called the Sean Conroy Life Letter. It's all about stuff that's happened to me and how I feel about things, and it's entertaining, and a lot of people seem to enjoy it.
Are you still working on your one-man show?
I am going to put that up again. Yes, my one-man show,
Called-
Rambus.
That's right. Kurt Rambis. You remember Kurt Rambis of the
Yes.
Lakers?
Yep.
He had like goggle glasses.
Yeah, and very scrappy player. So I have that. I'm planning right now. I'm planning to do 60 stand-up shows in 60 days starting
you
in
really?
March. Yeah. I have been away from stand-up for a while, but I've done it a couple times recently,
in March.
and I'm eager to get back into it. We do have a YouTube channel for Sean Conroy Gets Happier, and so if you go on YouTube and just put in Sean Conroy Gets Happier, you can find our YouTube channel. So subscribe to that. If we get 1,000 subscribers, we start making the big money. So.
All right, let me promote some of my stuff before we get to Lolly, because Lolly always has a lot to promote, and it's at the end. I'm going to be at South by Southwest in Austin, March 15th.
SXSW.
March 15th through 17th. If you're in Austin and you're
the Ides of March to St. Patty's Day.
Holy shit, am I going to be there for St. Patty's Day? Ouch, that's going to be nuts. And then March 26th, there'll be Bird City Comedy Festival in Phoenix. March 28th.
Fake news.
March 28th, I'll be at Skankfest. And then in April, I'll be...
Where's Skankfest?
It's in Houston. But go to EddiePepitone.com. And I'm going to be in Memphis. I'm going to be in Tennessee, which is Memphis. That's where Memphis is. And
Nashville?
Nashville I'm going to be in. I'm going to be in Chattanooga. Steve, anything at all?
March 15th, I'm at the Van Nuys Comedy Club.
Ides of March.
Yep.
Beware, Van Nuys Comedy Club.
Van Nuys Comedy Club? I didn't know Van Nuys had a comedy club.
I think they do now.
They must.
I'm there.
If you're going to be
on the
in
15th. 18th.
You sure that isn't a bait and tackle shop?
It's next to the bait and tackle shop. It's right by the golf course.
It would make sense that they would have a bait and tackle shop in Van Nuys right there by the water.
A lot of people to combat mental illness in Van Nuys take that long drive to the ocean, and we all do when we're in the valley. You don't know about the valley, but people go crazy here because of the heat. We're at a bottom, like the basin, if you understand.
70 degrees in Hollywood today, 85 over here in the valley.
Is that right? I don't know why I live in the valley.
I think it was warmer in Hollywood. It felt warmer.
Thank you, Steve.
Yeah.
When he throws numbers like that out, I get depressed.
Fake news.
I get depressed.
To be fair, I was just in my refrigerator.
Edit. Okay. What else? Van Nuys Comedy Club, March 15th.
18th, I'm headlining the Comedy on Aviation. You can go online
What?
and Comedy on Aviation. It's a black show.
Oh,
yeah.
What do you mean black?
It's on Aviation.
Oh, okay. Aviation Boulevard?
South Central, yeah.
Whew.
So the 21st, I'm doing a show with Eddie Pepitone, actually, at the Hollywood Improv with Fielding.
Oh, great.
Doing a show,
Eat, pray,
fuck. And then the 26th, I'm at Flappers. 10 p.m.
Nice. You got a bunch of...
Go on social media.
If Flappers is even open on the 26th, because I am meeting them in Yalta on the 24th.
Yeah.
And if negotiations go long, they might not be back by then.
If it goes bad, you can come with me and I will hook you up at Flappers.
Great. Perfect.
Remember.
How about, do you have a website? Did you promote that? What, SeanConroy.com? Is that
You mean
happening?
when I said SeanConroy.com a couple minutes ago?
Is that what? Yeah. Okay.
You've been vaping again?
No. I have almost 60,
This is
60
natural.
days.
This is all natural.
Yeah, it's just age. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for having me.
Yep. And we'll see you next time, YouTube people and all you other folks listening and not watching. Goodbye, everybody.